What's up you guys, it's Ivan Sketch here. In today's video, we are going to talk about how to design a character. You click on this video because you might want to design a character for your own personal project, like the comic book that you are going to draw, or you want to make a game concept art illustration for your game project. Or maybe while your teacher is lecturing and you are taking note, but for some reason it turns out that your academic note became into some kind of character design idea prompt. And it was a truthfully bizarre experience. And you know you will never use your random sketchy character idea anymore in any of your projects, so you just put into you know, somewhere else in your house. So no matter what drives you for wanting to learn how to design a character, designing a character is fun and you love it. And I'm the same as you. I absolutely love to design character. And I've been drawing every day throughout my professional art career. As for the video today, this video is going to give you a guideline on how to design a character. Now, let's talk about the common problem that we face when we are designing the character. The first problem that we commonly face is you might have an amazing idea in your head and you know that what is your character sort of looks like, but you find that it's very hard to actually put the idea out from your head into the paper and draw it. And also maybe if you are worrying about if you don't have an art style yet and you think of are you eligible to design a character or not. Or maybe you already drawn an original character, but you think of you don't know what if your original character is good or bad. So in this video, I'll be covering the whole construction process of designing a character that can be applied in any kind of character art that you're going to design, from the step-by-step construction process to the guideline of what makes a character design good. As for my character design tutorial, I love to break down all of my character design process into 3 simple steps. So the first step of designing a character is to define. You can ask yourself what type of character that you want to draw for the drawings. You can start by thinking of what is the story that you want to create for your character. Maybe he's a superhero with a special fighting ability, and who is going to start an exciting adventure and is going to save the world. Or on the other side, you don't like to play the hero game, but instead, you secretly want to challenge the dark side of human. You prefer to design some dangerous and sexy villain character who might be super manipulative and stands at the opposite side of the justice. And he hates the world. He may be creepy psychopath. If this is the type of villain that you prefer to design, you can also design too, because why not? Hero and villain, light and the dark. Both of these genres can be a very good and easy starting point for you to choose which type of idea story prompt that you want to create for your character design idea. Two of this is still hard for me to choose! If you still find that you are still having the trouble to determine which type of character that you want to design, even if there's only 2 choices, maybe you are just still lacking of that thing that can push you. And what is the thing, by the way? So you grab your sketchbook and you grab your pencil. And then you have to wait for the so-called the artistic, legendary, mythical, famous, creative inspiration spark that the artist only can have. And you keep waiting until the sparks happen.
2 hours later. 1 eternity later.
Lack of inspiration is a common problem that we face, especially when we are about to start to design a character or maybe anything else that is related to art. So how do you find inspiration spark that can give you a creative flow and so you can get motivated to start to draw if you don't have one? First, you can start to pay attention at your surroundings. You may have your favorite art book in your bookshelf, or maybe the comic book that you really like to read. Or maybe you are like me and I really love to play game and I'm very passionate with the game art. And by looking at all of the wallpaper of your favorite game, that might give you an inspiration spark because you're really obsessed with them. There are a lot of types of art in the world, but start with the one that you really love first. So by gathering all of them and having a look with all of them, they can inspire you and also give you the motivation to actually start to create a character. And this is my step 1, and this is also how you find your inspiration. And now we are going to get into the step 2, the exploration sketch. The exploration sketch can be a very messy stage, as you are going to experiment with different kind of idea with the character that you are going to design. And also you may experiment with different kind of art style. And if you watch my other video about the character design, you will see that I love to do a lot of exploration sketch before I proceed to my final character design drawings. And in order to make the step tool to look more simple, I would like to break my step tool into 3 smaller steps. And there are the 3 types of sketch that you can do in your exploration sketch. And the first type of sketch is what I call the reference sketch. As you are going to experiment with different kind of costume that you want to design on your character, you need to draw out the idea from your head into the paper. And most of the time when we are trying to do that, we will find that we are really having some trouble on putting out the idea from our head. For example, let's say that you want to design an idea prompt of a wizard and a mage character. And you start by constructing some simple construction of the human based on your imagination. And maybe you want to add some cool costume design for your mage character, like maybe the cape. And also you want to give the mage character that you are designing to have a superpower, like maybe he can cast a fireball. Then you add the remaining details like the clothes of the mage that you are designing, and maybe the trouser and also the shoes and things like that. So this is the concept sketch of the idea prompt of your mage character that you draw based on your imagination, as he's still able to communicate to me that he is some kind of magician character, but it just feels like it still lacks of something. And here's the one simple thing that I want you to do. Instead of coming up with character idea from imagination, what I want you to do instead is to go for inspiration website like Pinterest to look for similar idea prompt that you are designing for your character. When you do it, you will notice that there are a lot of ways you can customize your character to make your character that you are designing to look more interesting. Like you can change the shape design of the cape to look more cooler, or you can add the mini dagger to the belt of the wizard character that you are designing, or maybe you can give your mage a wizard staff, or some other weapon or something like that. This is a very good strategy for you if you are getting started with drawing and you are having trouble of drawing from imagination with this simple exercise of the reference sketch. But finding only one reference is not likely a good idea, because you are most likely going to copy all of the element that you find from the only one reference and draw it into your character design idea prompt. And that is going to be copying, and that's very bad. So the things that I want you to do is to gather multiple types of reference that is similar to your idea prompt and experiment with them, which I will talk about in my second stage of the exploration sketch. In our next stage of sketching is what I call the thumbnail sketch. Thumbnail sketch means that you are putting the reference that you gather from our previous step and put it into the experimentation. And there are 2 ways of drawing the thumbnail sketch. The first way is you can do some mini sketch of your character with the mini body pose. You can start by drawing your character with the front view, side view, and maybe the quarter view. And you can also experiment with the different types of fashion. And also, since this is still the stage of the experimentation, you can also try to draw with different kind of art style if you don't have a consistent art style yet. So then you will know which type of art style that you prefer and also which type of art style that you will not prefer. And besides drawing the front view, side view, and quarter view, you can also try to draw some dynamic pose if you are going to design some action type related character. You can add different type of weapon to your character if you want. And don't forget to use the reference to assist you if you are having trouble on drawing the detail for your character. So this is the first way of doing the thumbnailing sketch. Another way of doing the thumbnail sketch is the silhouette sketch method. This method of doing your thumbnailing sketch is more mainly focused on the shape of your character. And here's a tip for you if you prefer this method of doing your thumbnailing sketch is, you want to try to make the shape design of your silhouette to look as special and also as distinctive as possible, as if you do a pretty good job with the shape of your silhouette design, and then other people can recognize your silhouette easily. For example, the idea prompt of the character design that I'm going to design right now is going to be an action genre character. So the things that I do here is I try to experiment with different kind of weapon for my character. So I try the weapons such as the sword and the whip. And I also try an idea of a spell warrior that can summon some spirit move to fight as a companion. And after I've been doing some few experimentation with the character design with my silhouette thumbnail sketch here, and the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one of the silhouette out of all of this. And I find that my idea of the silhouette character who is holding a big sword and jumping on the mid-air is pretty interesting for me. As now I'm taking my own advice and I try to refine the silhouette that I picked to make the shape of it as distinctive as possible. So first I try to emphasize my weapon design for the character silhouette to give it a little bit different design of my weapon for the sword. And I also add some flame silhouette shape as it suggests that the blade that the character is holding, it can swing with flame. And last but not least, I make the silhouette of the character hand to look like kind of a demon claw, as I want the character that I designed here to be a half demon and half human character. And one tip here for you as a guideline to let you know if your character design is good or not is you can use tree as your guideline. As you can think of what is a tree or maybe 4 main elements that you want the character that you are designing to pop out. For example, as the character that I'm designing here, I want the weapon design of my character to look more pop out. And I also set the character to be a half human and half demon character, so I draw a demon claw for it. And I also add the flame silhouette as the superpower of the character that I'm designing. And finally, I want the character to have a long recognizable hair. And I think all of this element is enough to make the character design that I do to stand out. And I'm not going to add any more elements to it anymore because I think that is going to be looks weird. And also I don't want to overcomplicate the character that I'm designing. So use number 3 as your guideline if you are not sure that the character that you are designing is a good character design or a bad character design. So these are the 2 ways that you can do with your thumbnail sketch for your character design, and pick the one that works best for you. And next one, we have the delivery sketch. In the delivery sketch, it means that you're going to do some small preparation for the character that you're going to design before it's delivered to the finalizing drawing process. So as you complete the thumbnail sketch in the previous sketch, you can pick one of the ideas that you think is the most suitable, and you can start to do some very simple line sketch with the idea that you have. And also one of my tips for you when it comes to this stage of drawing is it's better for you to render a simple line art for the character that you are going to design, as you are going to be more clearer on which place you want to add some more line weight, or maybe you want to add some thicker line to stylize your art. I think leaving some sketchy pencil line is sometimes can be very unclarified for me in order to do some coloring planning work. So the things that I will be doing is I will add some simple outlining for the character that I'm going to design, and it will give me a better sense and a clear direction on how we are going to color my character and maybe do some shading planning. And that is just the way that how I do it, and maybe it might work differently for you, so you have to figure out that for yourself. And after you've been complete your line art of your character design, you can do some color sketch as your color preparation. As for the color preparation, basically means that you want to test out with different types of color scheme for your character design before you actually render a complete character design for your character. And there are a few ways to do it. The first way is the most common way, and that is you can test the color piece on your final illustration directly. If you design your original character just for fun, this way might be for you. But if you are doing some client work, I think this is not really recommended, because you don't really want to mess up your final piece of art, as this cannot be done easily. So you can take your line art and scan it into Adobe Photoshop, and you make your line art illustration into a small piece of thumbnail into one paper, which allows you to test out with 4 different types of the color scheme. Or if you only have 3 sets of coloring idea, then you can make a thumbnail of 3 characters. And after you've done the editing work, you can kindly print it out your line art and do some coloring experimentation with your coloring tool like your color pencil or maybe your Copic marker or any other types of coloring media. And by doing this can help you to reduce your risk of making mistakes with your illustration piece. Or maybe if you have a digital drawing tablet, you can just do your drawing experimentation on your digital device directly. And here's a bonus tip for you is when you are testing out with different types of color that you want to apply into your illustration of your character design, you can try to test your color based on the emotion that you want to bring in your artwork. For example, if you want to set a character with a very exciting and a very powerful mood, then you can try with some very extreme color like the red or maybe the yellow that can really turn people on. Or maybe if you want to bring some very sad mood, then you can try some cool color like blue and maybe some purple or etc. And you can also not only test color out based on the emotion that you want to bring with your artwork, you can also try different color idea based on the hero power that you want to implant into your character, like how I did in my color sketch experimentation. So you don't have to be afraid on trying different types of color, and just be creative and be fun with it. And here next we have our final step, the illustration. So when it comes to the final illustration, you are going to apply all of the insight and knowledge that you gain from the previous step and the experimentation that you do with your own character design idea prompt, and apply it into your final illustration. And also, if you want to make your illustration to look more interesting, you can also add some story element along with your character design to your illustration. So maybe you can add a background, or maybe you can add an enemy or some different superpower with the character that you design, and things like that.